Hey everyone, have you noticed something strange happening in the Texas housing market? It feels like nobody is moving. For sale signs are becoming a rare sight in some neighborhoods. And if you're trying to buy a house, the options just aren't there. Well, you're not imagining it. Texas is currently experiencing its lowest home turnover rate in decades, and today we're going to dive deep into why this is happening, what it means for you, and what the future might hold for one of America's hottest real estate markets. This is a really complex topic with a lot of moving parts, so if you want to stay updated on all things real estate and finance, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. You won't want to miss our future videos. So let's start with the big picture. What exactly is a turnover rate? Simply put, it's the percentage of existing homes that are sold in a given year. Think of it like a measure of how much musical chairs is happening in the housing market. For years, Texas was known for its high turnover. People moved here for jobs, families grew and needed bigger homes, and a dynamic economy kept things churning. The normal, healthy turnover rate in the U.S. is usually between 4 to 5%. But right now, Texas is seeing rates drop to historic lows, in some areas dipping below 2%. That's less than half the historical average. It's like the music stopped and everyone decided to stay in their chair. The number one culprit behind this massive slowdown is what economists are calling the golden handcuffs of low mortgage rates. Let's rewind a bit to 2020 and 2021. During the pandemic, the Federal Reserve slashed interest rates to stimulate the economy. This led to a boom in home buying and, more importantly, refinancing. Millions of Texans locked in mortgage rates that were almost unbelievably low. We're talking 2.5%, 3%, maybe 3.5%. At the time, it seemed like a brilliant financial move. And it was. Homeowners were saving hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars a month. But now, fast forward to today. The Fed has aggressively raised rates to combat inflation. That once-in-a-lifetime 3% mortgage is now a distant memory. Today, if you want to buy a new home, you're looking at rates closer to 7%, sometimes even higher. Let's do some simple math to see what this means in the real world. Imagine you have a $300,000 mortgage at 3%. This massive payment shock is the core of the problem. Potential sellers are looking at these numbers and saying, no, thank you. They are effectively locked into their current homes by their incredibly low interest rates. Why would anyone willingly double their housing costs to make a move unless they absolutely have to? This creates a powerful disincentive to sell. The financial benefit of staying put is just too great to ignore. So, life changes that would normally trigger a move, like wanting a bigger yard, a home office, or being in a different school district, are now being put on hold. People are choosing to renovate, build additions, or just make do with what they have, rather than re-enter the housing market and face those daunting 7% rates. This creates a vicious cycle. Because so few homeowners are willing to sell, the inventory of homes for sale plummets. With fewer houses on the market, the competition among the buyers who are still out there becomes more intense. This is basic supply and demand. Low supply and steady demand keep prices from falling, even with high interest rates. So, not only are buyers facing high borrowing costs, but they're also not seeing the price relief they might have expected. It's a double whammy that's paralyzing the market. Now, it's not just about interest rates. Another major factor is the simple lack of available homes to move to. Even if a homeowner is willing to bite the bullet and take on a higher mortgage rate, they face another huge hurdle, finding a house they actually want to buy. The low inventory means their options are severely limited. They might think, okay, I'll sell my house and pay more each month. But for what? A house that's smaller, in a less desirable neighborhood, or needs a ton of work. The lack of appealing options makes the decision to stay put even easier. It's a classic chicken and egg problem. People won't sell because there's nowhere to go, and there's nowhere to go because people won't sell. This move-up buyer paralysis has a ripple effect throughout the entire housing ecosystem. Move-up buyers are critical for a healthy market because they sell their starter homes, which then become available for first-time homebuyers. But with the move-up market frozen, the supply of those crucial entry-level homes has dried up. This makes it incredibly difficult for young people and first-time buyers to get their foot on the property ladder. They are stuck competing for a tiny pool of available homes, often against cash buyers or investors who aren't as sensitive to interest rates. This is pricing an entire generation out of the dream of homeownership in many parts of Texas. Let's also consider the demographic and economic shifts that have been happening in Texas for the past decade. Texas has been a magnet for relocation, drawing in hundreds of thousands of new residents from states like California, New York, and Illinois. This massive influx of people put incredible pressure on the housing supply long before the interest rate hikes. Home prices in major metro areas like Austin, Dallas, and Houston skyrocketed. While this was great for existing homeowners who saw their equity explode, it also raised the barrier to entry. Now, with the added pressure of high interest rates and low turnover, the affordability crisis has reached a boiling point. A Texas that was once famous for its affordable cost of living is rapidly changing. So, what does this mean for different groups of people? For current homeowners with low mortgage rates, it's a mixed bag. On one hand, you have incredible financial security. Your housing costs are low and stable, which is a huge advantage in an inflationary environment. Your home equity has likely grown significantly. But on the other hand, you have a loss of mobility. You're stuck. If you get a job offer in another city, or if your family grows, the decision to move is no longer just a lifestyle choice. It's a massive, potentially crippling financial calculation. This can lead to people being house rich, but life poor, unable to make life changes because they're tethered to their mortgage. For potential buyers, especially first-time buyers, the situation is bleak. You're facing a trifecta of pain: high prices, high interest rates, and record low inventory. It can feel completely hopeless. Many are being forced to rent for longer, delaying life milestones. Others are expanding their search to more rural areas, leading to longer commutes and a strain on infrastructure in smaller towns that weren't prepared for this kind of growth. The dream of a starter home in a good neighborhood feels more distant than ever. And what about the broader Texas economy? Real estate is a huge driver of economic activity. When people move, they don't just buy a house. They buy furniture, appliances, paint, and landscaping supplies. They hire movers, contractors, and inspectors. A stagnant housing market means less business for all of these related industries. Fewer transactions mean less commission for real estate agents, less work for mortgage brokers, and fewer fees for title companies. While the Texas economy is diverse and strong, a prolonged slowdown in the housing sector could eventually act as a drag on overall growth. So, where do we go from here? What could break this logjam? There are a few potential scenarios. The most obvious one is a significant drop in interest rates. If the Federal Reserve starts cutting rates and mortgages fall back into the 5% range, or even high fours, that would certainly entice some homeowners to sell. The math would start to make more sense. The payment shock of moving wouldn't be quite so severe, and that could be enough to get the market moving again. However, most economists don't expect to see a return to the ultra-low 3% rates anytime soon. Those were a historical anomaly. Another possibility is a significant increase in new home construction. Home builders are a key part of the solution. Since the existing home market is frozen, the new construction market is where most of the action is. Builders can offer incentives that resale homes can't, like buying down the buyer's interest rate, paying for closing costs, or including free upgrades. In many Texas markets, new homes now make up a much larger share of total sales than they have historically. If builders can continue to ramp up production of homes, especially at more affordable price points, that would help to alleviate the inventory shortage and give buyers more options. A third, less pleasant scenario would be an economic downturn that leads to job losses. If people start losing their jobs, they may be forced to sell their homes, regardless of their mortgage rate. This would forcibly increase inventory, but it would also come with a lot of economic pain and hardship. This is the scenario that nobody wants, but it's a possibility we have to acknowledge. Finally, there's the slow, gradual acceptance of the new normal. Over time, as wages rise and people build more equity in their homes, a 7% mortgage rate might not seem so scary. Life events, divorce, death, job relocations will eventually force some people to move regardless of the financial hit. As new buyers enter the market at today's rates, they will form the next wave of sellers in 5 to 7 years, and the market will eventually find a new equilibrium. But this is a slow and grinding process, not a quick fix. The Texas housing market is at a fascinating and challenging crossroads. The golden handcuffs of low mortgage rates have created a gridlock that is impacting everyone from first-time buyers to seasoned homeowners. The days of a dynamic, high-turnover market are gone, at least for now. The path forward will likely depend on a combination of Federal Reserve policy, the pace of new construction, and the slow, steady march of time. It's a complex puzzle with no easy answers. What are you seeing in your neighborhood? Are you a homeowner feeling locked in, or a buyer struggling to find a place? Let me know your story in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you found this breakdown helpful and want to understand the forces shaping our world, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.